Hello lovelies, it's another VR day. I'm Jess and this is the Archenchanter's Wand. So today I was really excited to do the Hello Again tag as a VR to Kasia from Tarot Map. I really loved this little VR. It's got 3 parts to it and it just sort of goes through the decks. It's a nice summary of how you're feeling about what you're currently working with. So the first one is Hello Again, which is show us an old deck that you fell in love with and have started using again. The second one is Getting to Know You Better, show us a deck that you have been working on already and is still around you, a deck that you are getting to know better. And the third one is Pleased to Meet You, show us a brand new deck that you haven't had a chance to work with yet. So the first one for me, and I don't feel like I'm the only one with this one. I bought the Dreams of Gaia tarot, the large version, ages ago. And I loved the restructuring of it. If you don't know, I'm sure you do, but if you don't know, it's been reworked. The major arcana have been reworked into, I suppose, something that's more relevant, could be argued that's more relevant to our sort of modern day living. I really enjoyed that. The other thing I enjoyed about it was that it was based on numerological and elemental associations, which is how I read. So it really, on paper, you would think that it would suit me really well. However, when I got it in my hands, I really struggled with the imagery. It really, I couldn't get on with the images at all. Some of them I adore, and then other ones not so much. So I tried to work with it, and I just sort of put it aside because I felt like it wasn't the right time. And I ended up gifting it to my sister. She's run off with it, she loves it, she uses it every day. Recently, I realised that there was a pocket edition, which I bought myself. I bought the pocket edition. And this one doesn't have borders, which for some reason is really helping with the imagery thing. Obviously, you know, I can still say quite strongly that there are some images that I just don't like. However, I feel like the lack of borders is making the deck more palatable for me. So I'm going to show you. This is the major arcana, so it starts with choice. See, I'm not a baby deck person. No, I don't like baby images. And this is just so, no, you know, I don't like babies in the imagery. And this is just like next level baby, if you know what I mean. It's quite godly and I don't know. It's just not for me. Then we have the maiden, the youth, what is the Empress, although it's not called the Empress, and the Emperor, and then the Crone, and the Sage, and then Death and Rebirth, which I love. The idea is Death and Rebirth. That's the name of the card. Then it goes into, so they're the first 7, so I needed to say this. The major arcana are separated out into 3 sets of 7. 3 sets of 8, sorry. 3 sets of 8. The choice card is the first one, which is replacing the Fool. The first, so it would be 8. So the first 8 are the stages of life. The second 8 are reasons for being. So we have knowledge, wisdom, love, healing, union, self, abundance, and destiny. And then the third 8 are influences, which are journey, thought, emotions, perception, integrity, intuition, faith, and desire. I mean, it makes sense. So here we have knowledge. I'm not going to go through them all. This has got a very hermit sort of vibe going on. This one, not really my see. But I feel like it's more palatable now. I'm getting on with it better than I did initially. I think I've really come out of the original imagery. I've really learnt I've had so many decks since I got the original of this that I've learnt to wrap my head around other sorts of images. So I'm not going to go through them all, but they're the majors. I love the aces. I love the aces in this. So the aces are all dragons. And then the court cards are also different. So what would be the pages? I think there's an extra court card in these, yeah. So this is the page, and you've got, this one is the page of fire, and it's masculine versus feminine. So you've got a duality for all the pages. And then you have the king and the queen, and then someone that serves them. So this is the hero, which would be the knight, and then the kings and the queens. But I really do like that duality, and the knights in them, they really resonate with me. So this is heart and mind, or body and soul, or something. Heart and mind, I think, for air, for the duality of the air element. And then we have the record keeper for the knights of air, which I love. And then again, the king and queen. So I really like that structuring, the restructuring of the courts as well. I'm trying it. This is definitely a hello again. It's not something that I have used in a while. The hang on, let me just put these in order, otherwise I'm not going to focus. So the book is a lot smaller with this one, which I think I'm getting on with a bit better. I did read through the first book, and I think because I've already read it, I've got a little bit of what's going on. But I do feel like, although the first book is quite a chunky, big book, it's sort of like a Marielle sized book. And although I loved reading, you know, a 2-page spread for each major arcana, I do feel like having that much information removed my personal sort of intuitive response to it. I got worked up. At the time, I got worked up with really trying to get the meanings down. And obviously, I think if you work that in depth with a deck that's not relevant to any other tarot decks, I do feel like you have to keep both going, otherwise I lose touch with the other ones. So I'm trying it again. It's here. I have part of me committing to this the second time round was edging it. As soon as I got it, I opened it up and I edged it. The backs on this are burgundy, which I love. They're not black. The larger one is glossy as well, and I didn't like that glossy, really glossy, especially with black, because you see all your fingerprints and all the scratches and stuff on it. But I love the edging on this, and I've wanted to make it feel like it was mine. I wanted to connect with it, and as I edged it, I went through every single card and read about it and thought about it, and I took, you know, a few weeks doing it because I really wanted to get to grips with it. It's got a bit of an oracle vibe going on, I think, because it doesn't have any words written on it. It's just got the elemental icon and the number. It does give me an oracle vibe, but I don't mind that. So hello again, Dreams of Gaia. I really hope we can get along this time because, as I said, everything on paper, everything fits. So I'm going to see how that goes. So the second tag is getting to know you better. Show us a deck that you have been working on already and is still around you. So I got the Margaret Peterson ages ago. I've had it forever. I worked with it initially as a standard daily draw, you know. I was working with it quite heavily, And firstly, because it's huge, because it is huge, so this is like real big. Obviously you can't do big spreads with it unless you've got loads of space. I do struggle with that. It was more of an intuitive read for me, especially since the book that comes with it, all the major arcana, write-ups are all sort of poetry. So the Fool: you are young and far away from home, a glittering crack, heaven, sun and clouds and foaming waters, the elements at play, blue breath, risk finding the way to yourself, engage yourself where chaos begins, where you stand alone and without help, facing life. So I get it, but some are a little bit more ambiguous. And then when we get to the pip cards, you know, it's all very, you get what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pips on one page. You get like a paragraph per pip. I feel like I've still got a lot to absorb and learn from this deck, and I love it. I feel like it's a very meditative deck, pulling one card and meditating on that card and reflecting on that card only, not necessarily by its associations or how it could be read in the tarot, but on its own as an image. So, 4 of Cups, Ace of Cups, Strength. There are, if I'm honest, there's a little bit of a disconnect between the images. They don't look like they're all by, I mean, maybe they are by the same artist, but not for the same collection, if you know what I mean. However, I don't mind it. They are equally stunning. Let me find one of my favorite ones. This one. The earth element in this deck is just gorgeous. The hands and the feet. Magic. This is the Magician. Father of Flames. Son of Feathers. The Lovers. They are gorgeous. I could put all these in a frame and just have it as art on my wall. I genuinely just adore the Empress. I adore the artwork. Especially the earth element. The flames, the flames are lovely too. 6 of Cups. So I've been working with it for a while. I put it back down, I come back to it, I put it down, I come back to it. You know, I switch it about because I don't want to be stuck with the same deck. You know, every month I'll switch it up. But I do feel like this gives me an intuitive read as well as the standard read. Like there's another layer to it almost. The other thing I love with this deck is that it is a gentle read. There's nothing, I mean, I would say the most, I'm going to try and flick through it, but it's a big deck, guys. Try and find you what I would consider the most harrowing card of the deck, which is funny because it's not really. There's nothing really very jarring or upsetting. I think it's good for grief work. So maybe the 3 of Feathers because of the blood on the feathers, but nothing too much. The 5 of Feathers had like scratches down it, but that's the worst there is, I think. The 9 of Swords does look like mental. 9 of Feathers here, it does look like mental. There's some photography going on in that one too. Mental anguish, mental discord, upset. Yeah, so I think because it's quite a gentle, it's got quite a gentle vibe to it. it's really good for a soft read, for a hug. It's gentle. This is one that I would use with my mum, or for grief work, or for some sort of counselling. I love it, but I still feel like I've got a lot more to learn from it. And so the last one, which is Pleased to Meet You, a deck that is new and I haven't had a chance to work with yet, which I am so happy with. So happy with. It is the Oak, Ash and Thorn. It's from the UK, which already is like, yes. As someone from the UK, I don't feel like it's very often that I find decks from the UK that I like. A lot of the decks that I am drawn to are like in the US or in Australia, and I have to pay an extraordinary amount of shipping to get them here. I have to wait 6 months. You know, I was waiting for a deck for 6 months. It took 6 months to get here. It got here, and then there was something missing, and now I have to wait for the other ones to come as well. And it's not easy. So on top of, you know, like a £50-60 price tag, I've then got up to £40 shipping. So I really have to consider, and it's very difficult because I am a tactile person. I like to have them in my hands before I make a decision. So I do have to like really think about it and weigh up whether I want the deck or not. So this deck, when it came to me, I was so happy with, firstly because it's UK based, secondly because it is an eco-friendly deck. It's made, all the paper, all the products, all the ink, you know, every decision that they've made in achieving the final deck has been thought about in order to make it sustainable and as eco-friendly as possible, which I'm so happy with. It came in a cellophane wrap, and even the cellophane was compostable cellophane, which I also use in my business. I won't use cellophane unless it's compostable. So that meant a lot to me. So I was really, really happy about that. I believe they're bringing out a mini version as well. But the reason I love this deck is because it's an animal deck. Now, have I got another animal deck? Or have I given them all away? I think I've given them all away. I don't entirely get on with animal decks because I find it very hard to relate, especially I find it hard to relate to fantasy in a tarot. Not necessarily, you know, movies or books or whatever. I love fantasy. I love sci-fi. I love, you know, vampires and dragons, and love all that. But in a tarot deck, I really struggle to connect with a deck that's full of unicorns and dragons and things like that. And the decks that don't have all that in, they're usually full of animals that we would never have any interaction with in the UK. So the fact that this is UK based and it uses UK animals, I see deers all the time where I live. I have to drive really slowly at night. I am in a town, but I'm in a town in the middle of country, in the middle of the country, because the deers come in from the forest and the fields around us, and they stick their little heads out of the cars trying to cross the road, and you have to be really careful. And so I saw a deer the other day with babies. They were obviously trying to get food. So the fact that, I mean, deer as well are like they're one of my, like, they're my totem sort of spirit animal. Deers and rabbits are just, you know, so I don't know, I mentioned it I think in my last video, but I am a rabbit lover. I've always had rabbits. So the fact that the Empress is a rabbit is just gorgeous. The Emperor, the stag, I mean, can you see what I mean? But these are all animals that we have here in the UK. I have owls. I hear owls every night to the point where sometimes I have to shut my window because they won't shut up and I can't sleep. Foxes, nearly every night. I see them every night. We've got a family down the road that live under a bush, and they come and try and get into the bin store every night. Look at the chariot with the little snail. I have currently got an overgrown hedge that is pressing against my kitchen window. And so the bottom half of the window is just hedge. And I can see, it's amazing because I can see inside the hedge and I can see all the animals inside the hedge. And there's a family, there were 2 snails that came up and stuck themselves on the kitchen window, but inside the hedge, so they were protected, and they've had babies. And so now there's like 3 little baby snails, and around, you know, when the sun goes down, they start coming out and climbing up. And my son and I just watching through the window. It's so beautiful. I've never been a snail person, but it's so lovely because you're seeing them in their environment, not like in the middle of a pavement where you might step on them. So it's just gorgeous. The badger, we have badgers everywhere. You'll be lucky to see one because they're really, really timid. Hedgehogs all the time. My sister-in-law has got a clause in her rental agreement for her house that she lets out, that in her garden between this point and that point there cannot be fences because there's a hedgehog crossing there. She's a conservationist, so she's maybe a little bit more willing to, you know, give up space or land for animals than most people. However, she has a hedgehog crossing through her garden, and you know, they could watch them from their kitchen window every night crossing their garden. It's just gorgeous. I mean, everything. I think we do have wolves, but not like this, I don't think. But you know, we have dogs and they're relevant and I can still relate to them, and I've seen enough of them. This is the only little mouse in the deck, and I love him. Is it a he or is it a her? I mean, I feel like it's a he if I don't look at the flower above it. If I look at the flower above it, I want it to be a her. However, it might be a they. I wish there were more. Is it a little dormouse? I love it. Just gorgeous. And the hair. Death. I'm so excited to work with this deck. I really am going through a stage. I'm very earth at the moment. I want grounding. I want my feet on the earth. I want to be left alone in the middle of a forest. Like, I want to move into the middle of the country where I'm just surrounded by fields. I'm very connected and pulled and being pulled by the earth right now. And so my head is in a space where I'm really trying to connect with the seasons. I'm really trying to connect with the moon. I'm really trying to connect with my biosphere of what I have around me and how the seasons affect the wildlife and the flora and the fauna around me in my space, as opposed to reading in a book about how the weather would affect or how the seasons affect or the wheel of the year affect someone that's written the book that's in the US and has absolutely no relevance to someone who's on the other side of the world. It's going to be different, and although it might be subtle, I feel like I'm in a situation now where I really want to delve into those subtleties. So this deck is just, I'm feeling it, y'all. The Tower is okay, so I love the Tower card. It's very beautiful, but for me, the Tower card has always had a strong foundation, and this tree is on the edge of a cliff, and there's not going to be anything left at the end of this. This is like a death card for me. There's nothing coming back if that tree goes and the roots go and then the cliff falls. You know, that's a rooted tree. If that goes, that's going to pull down that bit of the cliff. So I do look for that. I didn't realise that I was such a stickler for it, but until I saw this card and thought, no, because there's no foundation. There needs to be a strong foundation. It's just how I've always read the tarot, the Tower card. yes, everything's crumbling down. Yes, it's going to be an absolute decimation, but you've got a strong foundation. You can rebuild. How are you going to rebuild, right? But this, for me, like, I used to live on the coast. I grew up on the coast, and it was a 20-minute walk to the cliffs, and our entire seaside was cliffs. So there were constant cliff crumblings, constant. There have been several times where people they've been told that they've got to evacuate their house because they're so near the cliff and they think the cliff's going to fall down. Like, people have lost their homes because they've been too near the cliff edge. So this for me is like, no, that's a bit of a problem. But it's okay because the rest of it is so good that I'm willing to look. Star. So I was going to not show you it all, but I feel like I'm going to have to show you all the majors. The moon, look at the tail. She looks so snuggled up. Just gorgeous. The dove. Peace. Happiness. That's sort of giving me Noah's Ark vibes, this one, which I don't mind. But it's so gorgeous. The cardstock is matte. I mean, very, very, very slight sheen on it, but not a reflection at all. Judgment, the world, and then one extra card with this one. I think the initial one, I think it was backed on Kickstarter, and the initial people that backed it got 3 extras, and now if you buy the deck you get 1 extra, which is a possibilities card, which has the dragon in, because they've also got another deck which is dragons, and it's smoke, ash, and I can't think of the last word, but it's the smoke, ash, and something tarot, and that's like a fantasy animal deck. So this is like a culmination of the two, the possibility to merge them. I love it. There's also a really nice, although I have missed getting it out, I was trying to put them aside, sorry, I wanted to show you the, so we have the fool, the baby deer. The baby deer grows up, finds a partner for the lovers. The devil gets involved, things get a bit rocky, but it's all okay because it turns out lovely. Look, there's like a progression. There's a progression. Gorgeous. So I've shown you all the majors. I'm not going to show you all the minors. However, I will show you the fact that pentacles are rabbits. Gorgeous. And the woodlands, like everything in this deck, reflects the environment around me. I love it. The 4 of Cups with the grumpy squirrels. So the cups are squirrels and their cups are little acorn shells. Look how grumpy he looks. It's really cute. This is my first animal deck that I've ever really gotten along with. This is the first one. I'm so happy with it. That's really interesting with all the little different cups. So squirrels for cups, and then crows or ravens, I'm not sure which. We have both, so it's fine, and they are everywhere, and we always have to count them to see what is going to happen in the near future. 1 for a girl, 2 for a boy. What was it? 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for girl, 4 for a boy. 5 for a secret, never to be told. 6, oh no, maybe it's 6. I don't know. I I lose count after that. And then foxes for wands. Gorgeous. So the deck doesn't come with a book or anything. It comes with some cards with some keywords on. Are they around the right way? Yeah. Which is fine. I don't feel like it needs to be. I think it is like a Rider-Waite-Smithy based sort of deck. Oh, I've got two of the Major Arcana here. Sorry, they were off to the side. The Magician, the High Priestess. See, we see these everywhere as well. I think they're hawks, Sparrowhawk. We also have red kites in our area, and we're in an area where they're pretty rare, and they're only in a few areas of the UK. But we see them all the time, and you can tell because of the shape of their tail, you can see them really clearly. So yeah, that's my tarot tag. I'm tempted to go off on a bit of a tangent with the whole connecting to my own biosphere and my own environment. The other deck that I'm using in order to sort of support that is the Wildwood. The Wildwood Tarot, which this is super glossy. I don't like the cardstock on this. However, I do love the progression of the majors. Some of the minors for me don't read how... I don't really understand how they got there, but it is another deck like the Dreams of Gaia that has been reworked. It's to suit the Wheel of the Year. And the majors follow like a story about going into the Wildwood. And seeing the seasons change and being guided by your ancestor and things like that. So it does follow a story. Salmon, love it. It does follow a story. So this is another one that I am working with. Again, it's a difficult one because I really want to connect with this deck. But again, it's a reworking of the standard tarot. And I really want to connect with this deck, but again, it's a reworking of the standard tarot structure. So with these two, completely different. And then normal tarot, like your head can get a bit, however, these are all suiting my, this, and the Oak, Ash and Thorn. They're all feeding into my desire to work with earth-based decks and elemental associations, and I really have a desire to work with them all, but I'm going to have to make a hardcore decision, an executive decision on what one to go with out of these two at the moment to like focus on, because I feel bad if I drop this now because I've just got it again. But this one's really pretty and I really want to work with it, and I think because it's the Wheel of the Year as well, it's again fitting into me connecting with the earth around me and the seasonal changes. And then on top of all that, I'm doing the you can see behind me the Decan wheel, the astrology wheel. So there's a lot of learning going on, and I do think I'm going to have to compress and figure out what I want to do first, because I think doing it all together might be a bit much. However, if you've got any tips, guys, let me know if you have these decks. I'd love to know if any of you have worked or had a chance to work with the Oak, Ash and Thorn, and if you use it in the UK for connecting with your surroundings. I would love to know if anyone's worked with the Wheel of the Year and the Wildwood Tarot, and again how you've connected with it and how it's worked for you and what you've found. I think I might have to edge this. I didn't want to because I don't mind the borders on the front, but when you go this way, ooh, I edge all my decks because I can't hack this white. Don't like it. But then I don't want a big dark green It's a difficult one, isn't it? I could trim it. Should I trim it? No, I can't trim it because it's got borders. Maybe I'll just have to deal with it. I could back it in a white. I've never had a white back before I got these. Has anyone else had a white back? I've never had a white back and I love it. It does have a really, I mean, I wonder about how dirty it would get. You know, I tend to wash my hands before I touch my deck, so I don't think that would be a problem. But even just resting it, you know, picking up the dust from your tables or whatever. I wonder how clean it would stay, because at the moment it's pristine and it looks super gorgeous and clean and airy and bright. Because most of my decks are quite dark. They've got quite a dark backing to them. The other one, I've forgotten to say, that the other one that I love using, and this is part of the reason why I got the Oak, Ash and Thorn, the Herb Crafters Tarot, which I adore. I just adore the Herb Crafters Tarot. This book that goes with it, and the imagery, you know, you can't fault it. It's just beautiful. The only problem for me is that there are a lot of plants in here that we don't get here. And having, if you don't know, each card has got a part that talks about crafting with the plant that you have here, how you can craft with it to sort of help yourself through whatever it is that it's associated with. For instance, I mean, cinnamon I can do, 7 of Fire, cinnamon. Crafting with the 7 of Fire, study your bloodlines, invite your ancestors to a fireside council, share a warming tea and ask for guidance. Boost your day with firepower, use extra cinnamon in your breakfast. Do you know, I bought cinnamon tea the other day, side note, thinking, oh, it smells divine, I can't wait to try it. And oh, it was just the most, I love cinnamon, but it was the most disgusting thing I've ever had. It was just foul. I felt like I was drinking toilet cleaner or something. It was just, it didn't go down very well. That got passed on to someone who liked it. So I can deal with cinnamon, but when we get to things like slippery elm, 5 of Earth, take slippery elm lozenges to soothe a stomach upset by worry and stress. I mean, I'd have to order those things in from afar. Honour the gifts of slippery elm. Support United Plant Savers' efforts to protect this plant. So it's obviously an endangered plant. Take a wild skills class and learn to make containers from slippery elm bark. I mean, we've got willow basket making here, but not slippery. I think if I said to them, can I make one out of slippery elm bark, they'd look at me and go, wrong country, babe. So you see my point. I really want to work with this deck and I want to respond to the crafting prompts, but a lot of them aren't mallow. That's not, I mean, I don't know much about plants, but I do know that we wouldn't have mallow here. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Feel free. Bee balm. 2 of Fire, bee balm. Balm. Save the bees. Grow bee balm. Grow bee balm. Attract what you desire by wearing bright colours inspired by bee balm flowers. Am I saying balm right? It's only now I'm on camera I'm thinking, do I sound like I'm saying bee bum? Balm. Make spicy bee balm infused honey for respiratory ailments, colds and flu. Take it before creative work sessions to fuel passion. I mean, I love this. Pachamama. I don't think we have that either. I think that's like an Australian, like a hot climate thing. So This deck is like it breaks my heart. I love it and I work with it a lot, but I can't always respond to what I would like to do. I mean, the fact that it's got a crafting element to it, I just adore it, and I would so want to expand my knowledge of plants by responding to the crafting prompts, but I just can't. So, hey, guys at Oak, Ash and Thorn, what is it? Three Trees Tarot. Stephanie Burrows and Adam Oehlers. Sorry, Adam. Tell us how you pronounce your name, please. If you fancy doing a Herb Crafters UK deck, that would be great. Or even like Herb Crafters. Who made the Herb Crafters? Artwork by Joanna Powell Colbert and written by Letitia Guthrie. Guys, please. UK Herb Crafters. Oh, please. Oh, thanks. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent. My point is, I'm feeling the earth right now, guys, and I'm loving it. Anyone else having this? Is this a astrological thing? I mean, I don't think so, but maybe. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you, Kasia at Tarot Map, for putting out such a fab prompt. And I look forward to seeing you soon.